Hello, I'm Shanna Johnson.
And I'm Whitney Frost.
And today we're going to be teaching a lesson on how water is transported to the top of a plant. This is a 4th grade science lesson. Our objectives are students will create a hypothesis on how plants transport water through their system. Students will predict what will happen to a white carnation after viewing the celery. And students will draw and label a picture of what they observed on a cross piece of celery.
So every living thing needs nutrients to survive. Humans get our nutrients through water and what we eat and other things that we drink. But plants don't eat anything. They get their nutrients through the water that carries the nutrients up through the soil through the top of the plant. So I'm going to put this paper towel into the blue water. I want you to observe what happens to the paper towel and what happens with the water. So as you can see, the paper towel is sucking up the water and it's pulling the blue dye up towards the top. This is really similar to how plants carry water.
So we're going to take this piece of celery and we're going to stick it in the red food coloring this time. And what I want you to do is write a hypothesis on what you think is going to happen to this piece of celery, and I want you to use your background knowledge of what just happened with this paper towel and how it sucked up the blue water to form your hypothesis on what's going to happen to the celery. The celery, and I want everybody to look at it really closely, and I want you to write down any changes that you might have seen happen here. I want you to pay particularly close attention down here to the bottom. Write down anything that you see that might have happened. I want you to check out the leaves, note the color on the leaves. I want you to look all over and write down what you've seen happen on here.
All right, we also want you to look at, was your hypothesis correct or not? And I want you to be able to explain why you were right or wrong. Now we talked about some of the things that changed in the celery. The leaves have turned red, especially the tips, but you can even see the little veins in the leaves are red. But the biggest change is on the bottom of the celery. There are little red dots. Now those dots are called xylem. And the xylem is like the plant's veins. It's going to carry the water all the way through the stem to the ends of the leaves. Now think of it as like us drinking out of a straw. When we drink out of a straw, the water goes into our stomach and there's still constantly more water as long as you keep sucking on the straw. A plant does that constantly, and that's called transpiration. So the water is getting pulled up through the root, through the stem, and out the tip of the leaves.
So we're going to take this a step further, students, and what we're going to do is we're going to create another hypothesis. This time we're going to take a white carnation and we're going to stick it in the blue food coloring. We're going to leave it here overnight and we're going to see what's going to happen. What I want you to do is create a hypothesis on what you think is going to happen to this blue carnation. We need to look and see what happened to our blue carnation here. I want you to come over here and check it out and see what's happened. I want you to write down any changes that you've noticed. I want you to pay particularly close attention to the blue around the edges here, maybe any changes under here and throughout the entire stem and the leaves. You should write anything down that you see that's happened. We're going to do the same thing we did with the celery, and I want you to write down if your hypothesis was correct or if it was incorrect, and if it was incorrect, why it was incorrect.
The hypothesis that the students create and the drawing that they'll make of the cross-cut of the celery and their use of vocabulary words like xylem and transpiration will be what we use to evaluate whether or not students understand how plants transport water to the top.